Hello, everybody.
Hey there, Ross.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see your face.
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I figured once in a while I might as well. Yeah, pretty good. How about you?
Good. Just been jamming. Some more updates for everybody here. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'm gonna post the itinerary here real quick. Or is it? Well, never mind. We're gonna go over the latest updates, go over two strategy things, and then have our question and answer session at the end. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll get started here. All right. So, of course, everyone watching on YouTube, you can get access to the roadmap as well as the ideas and changelog. So you can see not only everything that we're releasing on a weekly basis, but you can also add your own ideas and anything that you'd like to see as a feature on the platform. You can submit it as an idea and then upvote other things that other people add as well, which is pretty cool. Last week we had two releases. So the first one, most of them, both updates are mostly focused on existing updates and improvements to the platform. So things like adding default languages, adding more enhancements to the billing section, so you have more visibility over everything that's happening on the platform for your white label version of Stammer. And the latest update that we did just kind of continued that further. So now you have the ability to set default languages for your accounts and your login pages. Typically, this was defaulted to English, but now you can set this for your white label side of the platform, which is really cool. A lot of other optimizations with notifications, as well as the chat widget. So these will be things that we continuously work on and improve over time as we start to work on some of our new features. So nothing's going to get like left behind. We're always going to make sure that everything is working as needed. Let's see. Yeah, one of the major things that I think to mention would be ensuring that you have access. So if you're not using Stripe, we're going to be implementing more updates to that to be able to still utilize the SaaS configurator. Some some agencies that are using alternative payment gateways still need access. So that was the first update to that. So now you can update the free trial without necessarily connecting your Stripe to be able to still run this with a different payment processor, which is good. The other thing that we're going to be working on over the next couple of months is adding more documentation and improved tutorials and things within the platform. So stay tuned for all that. Cool. All right. So next up, this is a question that Drew actually mentioned to us or to me and the team. And the question is basically, how do we scrape large sets of data? So for anybody out there that's trying to scrape maybe a large e-commerce website that could potentially have hundreds of thousands of different web pages, this information will be good for you. And I'm going to be utilizing the Shopify example as the use case to help illustrate how this can work like better, basically. So typically, when you're updating an AI agent or a chatbot, you're going to be uploading data or scraping data from a website. And that works really well when there's pretty specific and contextual information that can be added to this knowledge base from the website, like documentation or information from the homepage of a website. Now, when we're talking about something like an e-commerce website that might have a couple 100,000 different products or different product pages with maybe little to no variation between some of those products, it can be kind of difficult for the AI agent to know specifically what is going to be the contextual response or the contextual information that it needs to find in order to create the correct response. So when we have and when we're working with something like Shopify, we could scrape a Shopify store and scrape all of that data, but that might cause some problems within the AI agents in order for it to respond correctly every single time. And that's because there's in this scenario where there's hundreds of thousands of web pages, there's essentially too much data or too many contextual matches for the AI to know what is the right contextual match. So in order to do this, we need to essentially create some way for the AI agent to see the data that's inside the Shopify store without necessarily scraping the data manually. And so this is where custom functions come into play. And this is a feature that's currently on full SaaS mode, but at the beginning of next year in Q1, we'll be updating this for all agency tier plans as well. So you guys will be able to start playing around with this. And essentially, what this allows you to do is make a custom app or a custom connection between your AI agents and your white label version of Stammer and your customer's third-party data. And in this example, we're still using Shopify. And the reason why you would want to do this, in addition to being able to scrape data better, is the ability to have further IP that you're building for this client or working together with this client. Because essentially, what you're doing is creating a custom application for your client that will live in their Shopify store that's going to be able to send data back to the AI agent that lives inside your white label version of Stammer. And when you do all of this together, you can create connections that allow you to have very specific data that is being pulled from the Shopify API and sent back to the AI agent. So that way it knows and has correct information to create and generate its response. So this is a far better solution, especially if you have a lot of product SKUs and a lot of product information that could be similar or is just a little overwhelming for the client. So you can do this with other things like Google Sheets, other knowledge-based solutions like Airtable as well. So creating these custom functions can be a little tricky, but we have a ton of tutorials on how to replicate and make these for yourself. So and all of that's in our documentation. And then finally, I'm working on one of my next big tutorial videos, and it's essentially kind of a smaller version of one I've done before, but I figured I'd give you guys a sneak preview of essentially the master funnel and as simplified as possible, where we're trying to get as many eyeballs as possible on our content and our business in any way possible, essentially. And we're going to start by creating content on all of these organic channels and finding what works within this organic content to move that to paid ads. And the way that we're doing this right now for our own business is creating video content that touches different concepts and ideas, seeing which videos are working best, optimizing landing pages and blog content and written information based off of what we see succeeding in the videos. That helps us start to rank inside of Google organically for certain search terms. Once we know what type of content is working for both video or like media and written content, we use all of that data to then start running paid ads. And the whole idea of this is to get as many users to be interested and opt in to something that we have to offer. So that way we can start to remarket using email, which is the cheapest and most reliable way to get in front of your users consistently. Over time, as you continue to market to them with email, hopefully and eventually they become some sort of user where maybe they opt in for something low cost to get started, but then over time through the emails, they see the value that you're bringing and are willing to invest more money and increase their lifetime value with you as a customer. This simplified graph is basically a simplified version of this 100K AI agency SaaS pipeline where I go into further detail about all the different breakdowns of different channels and how you can create a full funnel that will automate most of this process to get leads to sign up for your white label version of the platform. So that's my little spiel for today. Drew, I went over the data thing and I referenced the Shopify example. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention or touch base on that?
Nope, the Shopify is the best example, I think, for a custom function slash direct connection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another thing that people can do if they are considering working with an e-commerce client is always reach out to us first, be able to figure out if it's going to make sense to run a custom function, or maybe there's another way that we can feed product data into the knowledge base.
Yes, and that thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point. Yeah, if you do need help with a custom function, our team can help you out with that. We actually are doing one right now for some custom calculations based off of input from the user and the AI agent. So it sends that data to some code to create a calculation, and then it can give that information back to generate a quote for the user, which is pretty cool. And that's a calculation that is needed to be done outside of the prompt because the calculation is rather complicated with a lot of different variables. So when we started creating that within the prompt itself, the AI agent would get confused at different points and not work. So instead of putting all that information and complexity in the prompt, we moved it all into the code and just told the AI agent when it should run that code and get a response. And that is how we were able to add essentially further complexity and functionality to the AI agent without having to build more stuff within the actual platform. We can just build this as a custom function. So yeah, any questions on that in general, or just questions in general? Hey Tim, we got the two-factor authentication added to the board, so that's in the pipeline.
Okay, great, thank you.
So we'll get that added shortly. Lucas, any questions on your end? I know you were at our Thursday call last week where you got some. I know there were some good resources from that. Was there anything that stood out to you as like a good piece of value that you got from that call?
Yeah, well, as always, it was pretty good. One thing if I'd have to, yeah, that's a good question. Um, there's a lot of the small stuff. About the attitude itself for the outreach. I think that's the most important. It's cannot pinpoint the exact things you maybe mentioned, but yeah, just getting that golden self. Yeah.
So like just getting after it and keep pressing on, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions or comments, concerns? You can speak up or put it in the chat.
I just had one, Ross.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to update one of the sub accounts for a client. We're re-scraping his website, and it used to scrape no problem, and now it won't scrape. Nothing's changed at the client side. So is this something we need to switch on with the scraper, or is this something
Can you send me the URL and then we'll look into it?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that separately.
Yeah, there's nothing on our end that would affect the native ability of the scraper. We've been working on the advanced scraper stuff, but not anything on the traditional. So that is strange, but just send it over and then we'll get that figured out.
Okay.
Cool. All right. There we go. Perfect. All right. Well, if no one has any other questions, I think we'll end it there. Hope everyone has a good rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next week.
Likewise.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.